Brian, where is this team?
We're in a place that's hard to describe. I feel that we really let down a lot of people this year. It starts with ourselves. We feel that we've been the main cause of all the problems around here. Really, you can sit here and you can talk about plays and emptying out a playbook, and you can sit here and you can talk about just designing things and who's healthy and who's not, but you can't sit here and talk about going out there and getting the job done enough, and it's just not happening this year. You can't sit here and talk about effort, just laying it on the line.
Is it tough to prepare for these two games when they're your last two games?
I don't think it's tough because it's all we have left. It's the end of it. There's 2 games left, and really all we do have left is the guys that are with us. And I know for myself, it's the senior week's made to be about the seniors, as much as coach talks about it. But really, I think the seniors think it's almost the exact opposite. That it's about the guys that they've been battling with for 4 or 5 years. Because we're all going to move on and do our things. They're going to come here next year and battle off.
Brian, you mentioned when you were here a couple, 3 weeks ago that when you're getting ready to start that run of 3 games against the contenders, that you didn't want to leave here with any regrets. Can you still wipe that out if you can win the last 2 and at least leave with a winning season?
Well, obviously a winning season is going to do more than a losing season is for this team for next year. Them guys, it's a similar situation to where we were last year. You heard Brad Sampson and those kind of guys sit here and talk about setting us up. And now we have to do the same thing for them guys. We have to set them up. Problem is, you look across look at the film, you look across the ball, you got an Illinois State team that's doing everything that we should be doing. They're playing like they have 2 games left, and they're having fun playing ball, and they're going to present a big challenge for us this week.
Brian, is there a word or a phrase that describes the season that when you think of the 2009 season, it comes to your mind?
Well, it's frustrating. It's just been a frustrating situation. The biggest question that's always been asked is what's the problem, especially on offense. What's the problem? And if we had an answer for that, we'd fixed it by now. But I think that if you go back and look at the Northern Iowa game, there were times when we played great, and then there were times when we played bad. And just unfortunately, the times we played bad, outweighed the times we played great, big time. And the times we played bad, we really weren't put in bad positions. We just didn't get it done. And that starts with the offensive line up front. It's been something that I know has been whispered around here all year. They question the guys in front, and as this senior up there, it's disappointing.
After spring practice, I think I'll say myself thought this offense, really there would be no questions about the offense because the offense was going to be pretty good. The questions would come on defense. What happened offensively?
Well,
or did I overlook that?
No, it was there. I mean, there's not many people here that are going to. There wasn't another Donnie Jones. Not to talk about the history of Youngstown State because I don't know every individual player, but I don't think there was another Donnie Jones that's come through these halls. And myself, I know I talked up Brandon as much as I possibly could, and I thought he deserved it, and I still do think he does. He's awesome. He's a great player. But I think that we learned this year that having those great players doesn't guarantee you a thing. And, it just all comes back to up front. There were times this year when the offensive line played well, and there's times when we didn't. And you got those. I remember saying something earlier in the spring. I think it was about we just had to stay out of their way. Well, maybe that was just the worst thing I could possibly said because our job is to block. I don't know that we got that done this year. Matter of fact, I do know we didn't. So.
Brian, you mentioned in your answer, a couple answers ago, about the folks that you're playing now having fun. How much fun do you guys have playing the game, and is that maybe a missing element that you just, it's too much work, or it's
No, definitely not too much work. These coaches are here 15, 18 hours a day. Coach Haycock's here, and that guy's battling for his life, and there's not a guy that, I would personally wish better success on than him. I didn't come here out of high school, you guys know that, and I can honestly sit here today and say that I'm overblown by the fact that I did come back, and I'm so thankful that I did. Even though we didn't do what we thought we could do, but it's still fun. You strap it up. I've been strapping up for 17. This is my 17th year since I started Pee Wee ball, and it's never not been fun. Yeah, losing sucks, and it's easier when you're winning, but I think it all comes out when you're losing. And the one thing I'm happy about this year is that guys aren't leaving the team. Nobody's left the team. Everybody's stood up and been here throughout whatever's happened. Can't say the same thing about last year. Some guys chose to leave, and that was their individual decision. But this team stuck together, and we're going to stick together 2 weeks here. We're gonna have our 2 best weeks that we possibly can have, because we have to. And in the end, there's going to be no excuses whether you're going to do it or not. And I just hope for Coach Haycock and both the staffs and juniors through freshmen and the other 11 seniors and all the support staff and everybody, even in this room, I just hope that we can make people proud, because in the end, it's it's one of the biggest things that you do is you try and make Youngstown proud.
Brian, you touched on Coach Haycock battling for his life. Do you guys sense that? You need to play well for down the road?
I think that's the least that we could do for what he's done for us. Is give it everything we have. There's guys in that locker room that when they got here, and this isn't to say that they're bad people, but when they got here to where they're at now, there ain't many people in the world that can transform the people that he's transformed. And I know that doesn't talk about winning and losing on the field, but in the thick of it all, that he's done things amazing off the field that I couldn't sit here today and say that I even saw coming, because if you did, you're probably lying, and that's just him believing in what he does and preaching it day in and day out, even when he thinks nobody's listening, and for better or for worse, that's gonna keep him in the best place that he could possibly be. And then he's done a phenomenal job. He handles things with class, with dignity every single time he talks to you guys and talks to the team. And I guess it just comes down to he can't play the game, It's us.